Friends, I welcome you to my channel. Before listening to this story, I will ask you to like and subscribe. It is not difficult for you, but it is pleasant for me. And we're starting. Travis Wesley had the worst day. After all, it's not every day that your beautiful wife has been telling you for 23 years that she's going to date other men. Starting this evening. Travis sat silently at the kitchen table, his hand wrapped around a glass of monkey shoulder scotch. For 10 minutes, he hadn't taken a sip of the amber liquid, just sat staring straight ahead, not seeing, not hearing, but definitely feeling inside himself the damn pain. Travis knew there wasn't enough Alka-Seltzer in the world to make the pain in his stomach disappear. He'd heard stories of other men's wives telling them they were going to date other men, but he'd always thought it was nothing more than an urban legend. How can a woman assume that her loving husband will let her date someone else, with other men? He knew what the word cuckold meant, but he just couldn't believe that a woman could be so heartless towards her own husband, so blatantly selfish in her desires. 45 minutes ago. Of course, it happened on Monday, but at the firm where Travis worked, it turned out to be a good day, and he even walked out the door a few minutes after 5 in the evening, whistling a cheerful tune. Entering the house, he still felt quite cheerful when he found his wife sitting at the kitchen table and sipping a glass of red wine, and in front of his usual place there was a glass and a bottle of his favorite whiskey. He dropped his briefcase and poured himself 3 fingers of liquid, then sat down in an armchair. "What's the mystery, Lauren?" Travis asked, noticing a wry half-smile on his wife's face. His wife looked him straight in the eye and grinned. What he read in her eyes was not good. He shifted nervously in his chair. "Do you think I've been a good wife and mother all these years, Trav?" "What is it?" she asked, quite calmly. Travis's brow furrowed. His wife knew that he was a quiet, thoughtful man, and she could practically see the wheels turning in his head before he answered. "Yes, I think so. And what is it? Do you think I should get some kind of reward for this?" "What is it?" she asked in the same expressionless tone. A few more seconds passed while Travis carefully considered the question again. "A reward for fulfilling the duties of a good wife and mother? Should I be rewarded for fulfilling the duties of a good husband and father?" "What the fuck are you asking me, Lauren?" Travis asked irritably. "Travis, I want to go on a date with another man today," she said calmly, like a lake on a perfect morning. Travis was glad he was sitting down. He felt bile rising in his body. His thoughts were like a freshly wiped blackboard, completely empty. "A date? What is it?" he managed to say. "With another man?" Lauren looked at her husband as if he were a child and nodded slowly. "Yes, with another man, Trav. I haven't been on dates with other men since you and I became exclusive 24 years ago. I've been a good wife to you, a good mother to the kids, and I deserve a night out. With another man, a chance to try someone new. Not someone you can love, but someone for the sake of pleasure, just to make love," she said. "I'm 47 and I can't stay beautiful forever. I want to try more. Men while I'm still a desirable woman, and I can get them with a snap of my fingers." Travis's lower jaw dropped slowly. He knew that he had understood his wife correctly. But of course she can't be serious about this, can she? He didn't even have to ask that question. Lauren nodded at him as if reading his mind. "Damn," he muttered as she got up from the table and headed up the stairs to the bedroom to change. Downstairs, Lauren looked amazing in a little black dress that practically clung to her gorgeous body. In front, it had a cutout to the middle of the chest of the 3rd size without a bra, and in length it barely reached the middle of the thigh. Her makeup was light. A beautiful woman doesn't need much, and her long blonde hair was pulled back in a high ponytail. The sight was amazing. Lauren saw that at this moment her husband was completely hers. Then, "I'm not going to let that happen, Lauren," Travis said, getting up from the table. "I don't know what you're thinking or what you're doing, but you're not going to do that while you're still my wife." Lauren's radiant smile turned into an ugly grin. "You're not going to ruin my evening, Trav. You can talk tough, but you know you won't divorce me because of this. Where will you find a woman like me if you let me leave you? Nowhere, and you know it. And the kids will be mad at you for destroying our family. Get over it, Travis. Let me have fun for a few years, and then it'll be just you and me again, and we'll grow old together. You know you love me. You don't want to be alone for the rest of your life, whereas I'll have men to choose from." A car horn sounded. Lauren grabbed a small bag and walked over to Travis, trying to kiss him goodbye. Her husband flinched, as if from a slight shock, and jumped aside. Lauren looked surprised and offended for a moment, then her expression turned to anger. "I'll be back home. I don't know when," she said, walking away. He watched in horror as she walked out the door. Had his 23-year marriage come to an end? It looks like it, he thought. Lauren didn't even look back at him as she walked out the door. Scientists have established a sad but true fact. People with good looks have an advantage in life over their more ordinary peers. It's easier to make friends, they get more attention, and teachers are more inclined to give them better grades. In Lauren's case, it worked that way, and it only got worse when she turned 13 and her breasts fully developed. She quickly learned that if she blinked and smiled, she could get almost any boy she wanted. And for those boys who played hard to get, she just stuck out her chest a little, and the deal was done. Like almost all the boys she came into contact with, Travis fell under Lauren's spell almost from the first meeting with her. His family moved to the city in the summer, just before he started 8th grade. He met Lauren on the first day of school and was quickly charmed. Travis was a good athlete and was popular with other students. Eventually, he plucked up the courage and asked Lauren out on a high school-style date, and she agreed. They became a couple and lasted until the first weeks of the first year of high school at the local high school, when Lauren dumped the young man in favor of Landon Estes Jr., who was a starter on the school's football team. Travis was 6'3" and weighed 50 kilograms at the time, while Estes was 6'8" and 86 kilograms. Although his feelings were hurt, Travis accepted his fate. He knew that Lauren was out of his league in appearance. Why most of the boys at school weren't in Lauren's league when it came to looks. Due to the fact that Lauren was dating a football player, she communicated with popular guys at school. Travis was one of the faceless minions roaming the corridors. He met and befriended selected students, and did not communicate with Lauren Soames during his school years anymore. He noted that the few times she came face-to-face with him, she acted as if he was a complete stranger. When it happened for the first time, he got angry, but after that he learned to accept it. By senior year, Travis had grown 23 centimeters and gained 18 kilograms. He was a handsome and athletic young man, but he was far from Lauren. Of course, few were like that. He came to the prom with his attractive but not spectacular girlfriend. That evening, they gave each other their virginity. The queen of the ball was Lauren, and the king of the ball was her companion. They also made love after graduation. But before that event, she was far from a virgin. Sometimes she was manipulated. Sometimes she was manipulated. Making love was always on the menu for any guy who was lucky enough to date Lauren. After graduating from high school, Travis enrolled at Michigan State University in the accounting department. During his 4 years of study, he dated several girls, but he did not have serious affairs. Lauren studied marketing at Central Michigan University. During her college years, she dated and slept with a lot of men, including a marketing professor, when she needed to turn a 4 into a 5. After many years spent as an object of lust, Lauren has become very good at playing this game. By pure coincidence, after graduating from college, they both got jobs in Grand Rapids. About a year after graduating from university, Travis and several of his work colleagues were enjoying a Friday night at a popular bar and restaurant when Lauren walked in with 2 women. All heads immediately turned to look at the striking woman in a short green dress with a plunging neckline. Lauren almost didn't pay attention to it because at that moment it was expected and she was used to it. "Oh my God, who is this goddess?" Steve White croaked at the entire table of colleagues. Without having time to think about his words, Travis reflexively replied, "This, ladies and gentlemen, is Lauren Soames, the goddess and girlfriend of yours truly in the 8th grade. All the heads at the table turned from the woman to Travis, many of them with their mouths open. "Have you met her?" one of them asked incredulously. Travis grimaced in displeasure. He hated to draw attention to himself, any kind of attention. "I was about 14. As soon as we started high school, I covered myself with a copper basin, and she ignored me for 4 years, as if I were an invisible man," he said quietly. "So do you at least have a good story about groping?" one of the women at the table joked. "Damn, I would have felt him in an instant, and I'm sure I'm just more straightforward than everyone else. At this table, at least." The whole team burst out laughing. This made Lauren and her friends exchange glances. For a moment she thought she recognized one of the men at the table, but she wasn't sure. The trio sat down at the next table, with Lauren sitting facing the table of the man she considered familiar. "Dude, aren't you going to come over and say hello to that walking wet dream?" White asked. "Jesus, Steve, you're drooling." "Very unimpressive," said the first interviewee, Casey Gardello. "She pretended not to know me for 4 years. I don't understand why she would remember me now," Travis said. Several heads nodded in agreement. Lauren continued to study the man while enjoying her meal. Then she snapped her fingers and pointed at the man. "It's not good, Lauren," one of her friends said. "If you point at someone in a restaurant, you may get hurt in some places." She completely ignored her friend's remark. "I'll be right back," she announced. "I need to say hello to an old friend." Lauren practically jumped out of her chair and walked over to the table where Travis was sitting. "Trav, hi, I am very glad to see you," Lauren exclaimed, walking up to him. Travis rolled his eyes in front of his friends and then turned to face his former classmate with a mock-happy expression on his face. "Lauren, glad to see you," Travis said almost without emotion, getting to his feet. Lauren entered Travis's personal space and kissed him gently on the lips, placing her hands on his shoulders. His colleagues sat stunned. Travis in turn was also stunned. Lauren realized this and smiled at him with a not entirely innocent smile. She felt very comfortable playing this game, and she knew that he couldn't do it. "Come to our table, I'll introduce you to the girls," she said. She took his hand and practically dragged him to her table. He spent most of the evening with Lauren and her 2 friends. Before he left, Lauren took his cell phone, entered her own into it, and wrote down his number for herself. Lauren was more than intrigued that Travis seemed indifferent to her. This had never happened to her before. He was polite in the restaurant, but he spent as much time talking to her 2 friends as he did with her. She kissed him on the lips several times during the evening, but he never returned the kiss. On Monday morning, Travis's work colleagues who were with him at the bar attacked him with questions about how his relationship with the goddess had developed, and were stunned when he told them that he stayed at the bar for about an hour and then went home. 1. "She's impressive, but she's 14 levels above me. I understand," he grumbled. Such an upset was waiting for Travis in the parking lot at his workplace 2 days later when he left work. He grumbled to himself when he saw that she was waiting for him at the car, although he had to admit that in a dress a size smaller, she looked like making love on a stick. "Why didn't you call, Trav?" "What is it?" she asked in a low voice as he approached her. Travis tried his best not to bulge his eyes, looking Lauren up and down like a hungry man who had seen his first meal in weeks. The low-cut top was unbuttoned to the very bottom of her cleavage, and the hem ended just 5 centimeters below the crotch. "Damn it," he muttered to himself as she reached out to wrap her arms around his neck and plant a kiss on his lips. He was defenseless when she pressed her whole body against him, and his free hand wrapped around her body, reflexively grabbing her buttock, covered with panties when her dress was pulled up. Her wet tongue, like a snake, slipped into his mouth and attacked him, and he dropped his briefcase, grabbed her other buttock, and the kiss dragged on indefinitely. After what seemed like several minutes, the couple broke off the kiss, and Lauren pulled down her dress again to cover her panties. Several of his colleagues, who stopped in shock, quickly got into their cars and drove away. They went to a restaurant located far from the city center and ate with pleasure, although Lauren spent most of lunch straightening the lower part of her dress. Both Travis and the young waitress seemed to enjoy this struggle of hers. Travis was wary of Lauren, but he was just a man, and when a half-dressed goddess turns on her charm, he was fried, and the best he could hope for was to show himself well in bed that night. "Oh my God," Travis whispered to himself, looking at Lauren naked for the first time. This woman was the goddess Travis had always imagined her to be. If this is his only opportunity to give his all, then he must be sure that he will not miss the pitch due to the fact that lust will prevail over feelings. When they were full, they lay face to face and looked into each other's eyes. Lauren smiled depraved. "I must have screwed up a lot a few years ago," she whispered. "You have amazing abilities. Who would have thought? If only I knew." "We've lost a few years, Trav." Lauren knew what was what when it was right in front of her. Although Travis was not in her league in appearance, he was still handsome, fit, and apparently had a good career ahead of him. And he's also very, very good in bed, she thought to herself. Despite the fact that Travis had doubts about this woman, mainly related to her self-esteem, their relationship gradually improved. Her beauty is obvious, but he was gradually falling in love with who Lauren was. "I bought an engagement ring." But before they proposed, they sat down and discussed their thoughts about fidelity. She had impressed him so far, but Travis wanted nothing left unsaid between them. "Obviously, I don't know much about your past. I'm not going to ask about numbers or names," Travis said when they sat down at the table for a serious conversation. What happened in the past will remain in the past. The same applies to me. But I need to know about the future. From now on, I want us to be exclusive, completely. There are no ifs, or buts. If you don't believe you can do this for us, I need to know it now. If you can do it, well... He placed a small black box on the table between them. Lauren looked straight into Travis's eyes, then back at the box. I will never cheat on my husband. Never. Travis opened the box. I will never cheat on my husband. Never, Travis remembered saying. Apparently, his wife does not consider this treason because she warned him in advance. He knew that wasn't the case. She was expecting... I hoped that he would take it that way because if he didn't take it in. Travis knew that Lauren had had plenty of opportunities to cheat over the years, and as far as he could tell, she had rejected all those opportunities, as a good wife should. She was 10. Hell, 12 points, and he thought he was 6 at best. This left a lot of room for someone who was closer to her physical level to get into the house and make themselves known. Assuming she didn't have an affair that he didn't know about, then she lived for 23 years as a real wife. Travis knew he should be grateful for these years, but he wasn't. When he said, I love you, he wanted it to be forever, not a miserable 23 years. In truth, not a week went by that Lauren didn't get offers from someone, not only from men. She knew she wasn't just beautiful. She is a delightful, rare goddess among simply beautiful women. When God created his wife, he had an exceptional day, Travis always said. At first, Lauren told Travis about it every time she was molested, trying to be completely transparent. However, after a few years, Travis said that he trusted her so much that she did not need to tell him everything straight. The only time he would like to know that she is being harassed is if the harasser did not accept her first refusal. Then he will take the necessary steps to dismiss the offender. Travis, on the other hand, was rarely molested by women. This was partly due to the fact that he used his wedding ring practically as a shield. Within minutes of meeting the woman, Travis was talking enthusiastically about his wife and children, which usually extinguished any sparks that might flare up. He didn't even realize what he was doing, and most women shut down before they had a chance to flirt. Lauren didn't even realize that her husband was turning off potential flirts, or even worse. The almost fabulous marriage lasted 22 years before Rosa Esposito entered the notorious Garden of Eden. Or rather, she came to work at the same public relations firm as Lauren. In the words of a Bob Seger song, she was a dark-haired beauty with big brown eyes and big breasts. She attracted men the way a strong magnet attracts metal. In any other office, she would have been an alpha female, but at Superior Solutions, she became, at best, a loyal assistant to the most attractive woman on the planet. 42-year-old Rosa had been married for 15 years, but, according to her, she was not a fan of it. She had several affairs with her husband's knowledge and several more without his knowledge, and she often shared stories with Lauren about her adventures. She was a very good storyteller, and in the stories, making love with most of her lovers seemed fantastic. So you haven't tried anyone since you got married? Yes, you are just a rock woman, but I don't believe that you don't want this, Rosa said one day at work during a coffee break. Well, I'm not saying I'm not curious, but I would never cheat on Travis, Lauren said. In recent months, Lauren has noticed that she no longer feels that she attracts as much attention from men in bars and restaurants as before. More than once, she noticed that the looks that had previously been directed at her were received by younger women and began to doubt her abilities to visually attract. Let's play the what-if game. What if hubby had let you try it? What then? Rose asked. Lauren's face showed that she had never thought about such a scenario before. The wheels in her head were spinning wildly. Probably if I had permission, then it would be a completely different story, Lauren admitted with a mischievous grin. And you never thought about that. Ask for permission? Rose asked. You know that everything worth having is worth asking for. Lauren had never thought about it before. Her face lit up, then went out. He will never give me permission. Never, Lauren said. Do I have to do everything for you? Rose asked. Unspoken permission. Tell him and then take what you want, regardless of his answer. Tell him that he loves you so much that he has to let you do it, that you can get through this because it has nothing to do with love, that you only love him. Travis was awakened by the sound of a car pulling up to the house. Glancing at his watch, he realized that it was a little after 3 o'clock in the morning. A glance at the bottle of Woodford Reserve showed that he had finished about half of it. It's a great evening, isn't it? he quipped at Lauren as she walked through the front door. Travis looked closely at the cliché his wife had become. Her hair was combed but tousled, her makeup was missing, and her clothes looked rumpled. She didn't look remorseful, but smug. "I could have said the same to you," she hissed. "You didn't have to wait, you know. I'm going to sleep. And you? Maybe, but never again in this life with you," he snapped back. Lauren gave him a disgusted look and headed up the stairs. Travis poured 3 more fingers of bourbon into his glass and returned to watching ESPN, a network of entertainment and sports programs. Travis spent the night in his folding chair, half sitting, half lying with a rumbling stomach. Around 9 o'clock, he finally got up from his chair and made himself breakfast. While eating, I heard the shower turn on in the master bathroom. "The whore is up," he thought to himself. Under normal circumstances, Travis might have expected his wife to come downstairs in a bathrobe and with her hair wrapped in a towel. She didn't come down for about an hour this morning, and when she came down her hair was dried, she was dressed and made up, looking flawless as always. He didn't expect anything less. "Did you leave me anything to eat by any chance?" "What is it?" she asked. "I made a big pot of coffee, but cook the food yourself. And since you're dressed at home, I think now's the time to talk," he said flatly. Lauren was surprised at how unemotional Travis seemed. She expected him to just foam at the mouth and be irrational, which meant he would be easier to manipulate. Irrational Travis would make the conversation much more difficult, she reasoned to herself. "Don't you want to know about last night?" she said softly. Travis detected a note of superiority in her tone. Does she really believe that he wants to know about how he was made a cuckold? "I don't think so. I want to know, how do you see the further development of our marriage?" Travis said, his voice no louder than hers. "As I said yesterday, I intend to try several other men over the years. I only love you, but I want to try a few more men while I still have the looks and the body. I've given everything to you for 23 years, and I've never had the thought of cheating. I want the thrill of something unfamiliar. You're great in bed, but I want to variety. Well, get some other experience for a while, and then you and I will go into the sunset together. And I will be grateful to you for this experience, and I will pamper you exclusively for the rest of our days," Lauren said. Travis listened intently as Lauren talked while making toast and jam for coffee. He thought that the way she spread toast, talking about the most important thing in his life, was rather dispassionate. He had so many questions. "It's all because of what you want. Variety? Am I not enough for you?" "What is it?" he asked in a raspy voice. She started to answer, but he interrupted her. "So you want to live in a free marriage for a few years and then return to monogamy sometime in the future? Does this mean that I can date others too?" Lauren tried unsuccessfully to stifle a giggle. The idea that her sweet, calm husband would ask another woman out on a date was ridiculous. Travis's attitude towards marriage was the most serious of all the men she had ever met. However, if that's what it takes for him to give consent. "Basically, yes," she replied. "Of course, I guess it's just going to be a bed for you too." Travis raised his eyebrows and shrugged. Lauren had no idea what that movement meant. However, she had an idea. "So, would you like to go on a date with Rose? A very pretty woman from my office. I'm sure she'll be happy to agree," Lauren said, knowing that her friend would have no problem satisfying her husband, especially if it meant helping Lauren achieve her goal of making love to other men and still being married. Travis looked puzzled. The lustful 21-year-old bachelor in him wanted to satisfy Rosa to the point of coma. A responsible 47-year-old married guy knew he couldn't do it. "I'd love to date Rose, but no baby thanks. It will make me as much of a womanizer as you were a whore last night," he said. Lauren's face, which had started to smile, was suddenly replaced by a grimace of anger. "I am not a woman of easy virtue. Stop it," she screamed. "Well, if you insist, baby," he said, much more seriously than she could have expected. "But I still don't agree to it." "Well, come to your senses, baby, because I'll do it even if you don't," she snorted. On Monday morning, around 11 o'clock, Rose came into Lauren's office and saw that she did not look happy. "To hell with that prude and the horse he rode," Lauren hissed, closing the office door behind Rose. "Damn it, he even refused to date you." Rose frowned. "I didn't know I was on the menu, but to hell with it. How could he refuse it?" she said, running her hands over her body. "What about a date? Did you have a good time or did Travis ruin everything?" Rose asked. "The date was fantastic. Jonas definitely knows how to make a woman feel good," Lauren enthused. God, it's been a long time since I felt another man's male organ inside me. I definitely liked the difference. Who do you think I should try next? They both laughed heartily. Lauren was encouraged by the fact that she was not immediately handed the divorce papers. Since she and her husband barely spoke, she decided it was wiser not to ask about his plans at all. Although he didn't tell his wife, Travis really didn't want to rush into a divorce. He hoped that she would come to her senses quickly and give up her stupid plans to cuckold him. He believed that he could forgive her, and they could forget about her transgression if she stopped this nonsense. His hopes were strengthened when Lauren did not go on a date the following week, although he still did not return to the bedroom, and they still did not communicate positively. However, on the following Friday evening, Lauren was dressed to the highest standard again, obviously ready for a date. Are you seriously planning to do it again? With the same guy, or do you want to satisfy someone else this week? Travis asked sharply. Damn it, Trav, didn't you hear a word I said? It's not about you, it's about me, and my desire to get something is there before I get too old to attract anyone. It's not that I want you less, I just want more. And another one. You know I get hit on all the time. I just want to enjoy it. I will always come back to you. And if I don't want you to come back to me, I'm not going to share you. I will not sit idly by while you have fun. I'm not cut out for this. I won't wait for you to try half the male population of our city. When you had your first date, I wasn't sure yet, but I think I could get over it. Once it could have been extreme stupidity, but twice it was extreme disrespect, extreme betrayal. Stay outside all night, walk all night. We're done. I wasn't created on this earth to take shit from you. Wah, 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 she said, making speaking movements with the fingers of her right hand. You don't want to lose me. It shouldn't be an either-or situation. Last week, Travis instructed his lawyer to prepare all the necessary documents, hoping that they would not be necessary. He was going to call his wife on Monday morning, but first he had to call his 2 daughters and tell them about it. Neither 21-year-old Jackie nor 19-year-old Michelle believed their father when he called them that evening, at least outwardly. But after talking to both, he discovered that his eldest daughter might not just have guessed that something was wrong. Did you know she was going to do this shit and didn't tell me? He shouted over the phone. Don't you think I deserve to know what was going to happen? Please, Daddy. I got into a very difficult situation. One of you wouldn't be happy with me anyway, no matter what I did. Besides, this is her body. It doesn't belong to you. And if she wants to share it... Stop! Don't go on! Travis shouted. I understand that she put you between us, but don't tell me that she can do whatever she wants and when she wants because this body is hers. We gave it. Oaths. The oath cancels the speech about her body. Yeah, she muttered briefly and then fell silent. Damn it, baby. I'm sorry, Daddy, she whispered. When Lauren walked through the door at 2 a.m, Travis was nowhere to be seen. Despite the fact that she arrived an hour earlier than from the previous date, she looked a little more shabby. Gabriel Esposito was a big, strong man with great physical strength, perhaps the strongest Lauren had ever encountered in bed. She knew that by tomorrow she would most likely have a couple of bruises from his grip. All in all, it was a great night, she thought. She could enjoy Gabriel another time. Lauren was shocked and confused when the divorce papers were handed to her at the office on Monday morning. She burst into tears and ran to the ladies' room. A few minutes later, hearing a noise, Rose appeared. You should have known that he would at least hand you the documents, Rosa said. You hurt him a lot, baby. It's his way of hurting you back. An eye for an eye. Men are such children. He's trying to force you to force things. He won't give up a 23-year marriage and half of his belongings. Give him a week alone and he'll come crawling back. Straightening up, Lauren returned to her desk, picked up the phone, and immediately dialed her husband's number. How could you do this to me? In the office, in front of everyone. I know it hurts you, but I deserve more, Trav, she practically shouted into the phone. After 23 years, don't I deserve something better than that you unilaterally decided to open our marriage? If I'm not right for you, couldn't you have just warned me in advance and we could have parted like civilized people? Travis said. I don't want civility. I don't want to get divorced. I still love you. You still love me, she wailed. I still love you, but every time you make love to someone else, that love decreases, he growled. My love is not a bottomless well. Like you, I always thought that was the case. Who knows? Maybe we were both wrong. Lauren was fighting for a divorce. Her lawyer requested and received marriage counseling, although Travis was categorically against it. Lauren smiled and Travis frowned as they were ushered into the inner sanctum of the consultant and found Lillian Camacho in one of the chairs at the consultant's desk. Data on marriage counselors show that most believe their job is to reconcile divorcing couples, and female counselors seem to lean in favor of women. The couple took 2 of the 3 empty seats at the table. The consultant coughed to make it clear that she was starting. "I have read both of your cases and seen both of your statements," Miss Camacho began. "Let's start with the simplest. Mrs. Wesley, did you really tell your husband that you were going to date other men for several years?" Travis tried his best not to let the consultant see his grin. Lauren did her best not to let the counselor see how shocked she was. She thought about lying, but then realized that she didn't have a ready-made cover story for this lie. Yes, I told him that," she replied softly. "That's what I want. I don't need it. What he would do for me. It won't affect our marriage." "Well, I think we're done here," the consultant said. "I'm sorry to waste your time, Mrs. Wesley. I'll talk to the judge and end this farce. But, Lauren began to stutter. "Honey, if you thought for 1 minute that what you did to your husband would work with me, then you're crazy. You should be ashamed of yourself, but obviously you don't have a shred of shame. To be honest, you disgust me," Miss Camacho said. Over the next month, Lauren called and texted Travis several times a day, as he rented a small apartment near his house. He didn't answer any calls or text messages. Then she turned to their daughters for help, who called several times. "Dad, you know you still love her. If she stopped seeing other men, would you give her another chance?" Michelle asked during one of those calls. "So she's still doing it even after I've served her?" Travis asked in a trembling voice. He received only silence in response. That was all the answer he needed. Michelle did not call again and did not ask him to try again. Travis was surprised by how quickly information about his impending divorce spread, especially among single women. Several women at his job expressed their condolences over his family problems, as well as several women who were friends of both him and his wife. He was smart enough to realize that not all of their condolences were altruistic. Connie Mayong, his wife's longtime friend, called to express regret for what was happening in Travis's life. She almost directly offered him a shoulder to cry on. Travis was shocked that his wife's close friend was so openly pestering him. In all the years of dating, the divorced woman had never even cast a sidelong glance at him. "I would never pursue a friend's husband, it's just wrong," she told him. "But now that you're a free man, the rules are different. I'm letting you know that I'm interested in you. I'm shocked. I'm flattered. But I'm not a free man yet, Connie. And I'm not going on dates until the divorce is final. I know I'm being stupid, but I'm not going to cheat," Travis said. "You're such a Boy Scout, Trav. That's one of the things I like about you. I've always liked you. Can you at least make a date for me when you're free?" Connie asked. "Sure," Travis said, "but I don't want to come between you and Lauren. You've been friends for many years. I appreciate your sensitivity, but just because she's dumb doesn't mean I should miss out on a good person. I wouldn't even think about it if you were just some strange guy and we just met," Connie said. "Maybe I'll call you when I take off the leash," Travis joked. Connie was a 6-foot-tall Asian beauty with a toned body and waist-length black hair, which was one of the main advantages in Travis's eyes. He admitted to himself that he was more than surprised that a woman had shown interest in him. Travis was true to his word and called Connie the day his divorce became official. On Saturday evening, they went to a restaurant and then to a local jazz club. Connie noticed that Travis was feeling uncomfortable and commented on it. "I feel like an inexperienced 15-year-old, he replied. "I haven't been on a date with another woman in over 26 years. Don't tell me the condom in your wallet is the same one you had on the last date before Lauren," she joked. "Was I supposed to have a condom?" "Heck, I hadn't even thought about that. I'm a noob," Travis replied. At the end of the evening, Connie kissed Travis gently on the lips. They both felt good after the date, and he promised to call again. Travis didn't think much about taking off his wedding ring on the day of the final divorce, but apparently it was very important for unmarried women. Noticing the emptiness on his ring finger, several female employees noticed and commented on it, and suddenly the level of flirting in his office increased noticeably. This was new to him, and one day at lunch he told his best friend in the office about it. "There are a lot of beautiful women in this office. And how did I not notice this before?" Travis asked. "You were just a bastard henpecked, my friend," Robert Ardito said. "You were so deeply in love with this woman that you didn't even look at other women as attractive creatures. I mean it. She's a beautiful woman without a doubt. But you let her put your balls in her purse. And maybe that was part of the problem. She is constantly being tested. She has value. And you were so trained, you gave off such a vibration that no woman even looked at you. In the first month after the divorce, Travis went on 4 dates, 2 of them with Connie. He hadn't managed to sleep with any of the 3 women he dated yet, but that wasn't his goal either. In the second month, he was equally in demand and slept with 2 women. Travis's daughters, who have been in contact with their mother more than their father in recent months, have heard her constant claims that if she can practically get any man just by snapping her fingers, then their father is an ordinary man in his 40s who finds it difficult to even find a mate, let alone a permanent girlfriend. They began to feel sorry for their father, and one Saturday morning, about 2 months after the divorce, they came to his apartment together without warning. Travis was unhappy that he was woken up at 8:36, especially since he had been entertaining his companion late the night before. Sonia, a buxom 25-year-old girl, was the daughter of a friend of his friend, who needed a reliable beau for a wedding celebration. The evening went so well that the couple decided to end it at Travis's apartment. At that moment, she was sleeping in his bed when he opened the door in a bathrobe. "What?" he asked, opening the door, and saw the smiling faces of his daughters, who were holding bags of bagels, smoked salmon, and cream cheese. "Hi, Dad. Can't your 2 beloved daughters come over for breakfast?" Jackie said as the couple entered the house. Travis kissed them both on the cheek and led them to the kitchen table, where they emptied the bags they had brought with them. They were just packing bagels when Sonia came out of the bedroom, wearing one of Travis's white shirts, half buttoned up, and probably not wearing anything else. "I'm sorry. I didn't know you were expecting guests, baby," Sonia said. "Mom said that you are your own boss." Both girls blushed while Sonia poured herself a cup of coffee. No, Sonia. These are my daughters, Jackie and Michelle," he said, pointing to the daughter with the appropriate name. "We came in for breakfast. A bagel with salmon," Sonia giggled, causing her big, braless breasts to flutter under her shirt. She touched her hip to Travis's arm and sank into the chair next to him. For a while, the 4 of them had a normal small talk, until Jackie asked if Travis had talked to Lauren lately. He frowned for the first time in days. Up to this point, he believed that it was almost impossible to get upset being next to Sonia, although she was a little hard for his 48-year-old body. "I have to tell you, Dad, we thought you already missed your mom," Michelle said. "We know that she misses you, and I thought that when I was gone she would live her life to the fullest. I know that I was an anchor for her. I thought she was making love to them 2 at a time in our old bed." "Dad!" Jackie exclaimed while Sonia giggled and Michelle frowned. "She's not a woman of easy virtue, you know. Is it true? Think about it for a second. How many different guys has she slept with since we broke up? And the 2 I know about before I left." Both girls blushed and lowered their heads. "Wow, if there are 2 guys a month during, how many? 10 months. It's going to be 20 different guys. With 3 guys a month, it's 30. For me, there are a lot of guys like that," Sonia said. If looks could kill, Travis's daughters would have put Sonia in her grave in a matter of seconds. She was well aware of this fact. "Hey, don't blame me if a woman can't keep her legs closed," Sonia said. Children. Let's not spoil a good weekend for me," Travis said. "I'm sorry," all 3 young women muttered at the same time. "That's it. Are you a couple?" Jackie asked Sonia quietly. "You don't look any older than me. Your dad said we're the same age, but don't worry. I'm not going to be your stepmother someday. We're just friends. He's a great guy. He was my date at the wedding reception last night. And he's kind of handsome. Did I mention that he's also a great guy? Well, we have to agree that he's a great guy, even though we know that he can be a bit of a jerk from time to time," Jackie said. "And yes, he's kind of handsome, for a guy who's old enough to be your dad." It was Sonia's turn to blush. Travis blushed too. "Hey baby, remember that at noon we have lunch with the families of the newlyweds at the hotel. I need to take a shower and get some clothes from my apartment before we go," Sonia said. Both daughters rolled their eyes at their father. "Mom, she's my age," Jackie told her mother over lunch a few weeks later. And it didn't look like a one-time thing. They spent quite a long time together. They enjoyed each other's company. "I don't think he's going to come crawling to you anytime soon, Mom. No, you just caught him on a good day. He was probably helping a friend's child, and he was lucky. She's probably a woman of easy virtue who will sleep with anyone. Your dad's a great guy, but he's not a stud, Jackie." Jackie raised her eyebrows at her mother. You always seemed pleased with him, until you told him you were going to leave him. Why didn't you just cheat on him without telling him? Wouldn't that be a lot easier? You could have kept the cake and eaten it. That would be cheating, Jackie. And if he caught me, well, then we'd break up. Having told him about it, I did not cheat and was sure that he would give me what I wanted when he realized exactly what he would lose. I must admit, I did not expect a divorce. I never thought he'd have the guts to do that. Mom, I think you mistook love for weakness, and somewhere along the way, I decided that everything depends solely on you. Was it all worth it? For the first time, Lauren's face reflected the strain of what she had to endure. Everything sounded much better from Rosa's lips than it actually turned out to be. She couldn't tell her daughter that making love was normal, but no, it wasn't worth it. She also couldn't tell her daughter that she never thought about Travis doing anything other than sitting around and pining for his beautiful ex-wife. She was so immersed in herself that she did not even realize that a handsome, though not gorgeous man with a wonderful character, intelligence, and a solid job could be very attractive in the market of single men, and not only for middle-aged women. She knew that after the divorce, her ex-husband dated several women, including her longtime friend Connie, and now some young woman of easy virtue, the same age as their eldest daughter. Instead of sitting at home and mourning his past life, he goes on dates like a single 20-year-old guy and gets more pussies than he's supposed to. She didn't say anything to Connie when she found out that her friend was dating her ex for the first time, believing that it was something like a pity date, but a second date was completely unnecessary, and she informed Connie about it face to face in a rather loud tone. I thought we were friends, Con, Lauren said. You should be on my side. We girls have to cover for each other. But he didn't do anything to you, Lauren. And he's a good guy, great. He's all I want to see in a man. Why don't I date Trev? Hell, women are lining up to go on a date with him. He's an excellent aged beef on a hook girl. And he's a great date. And he's great in bed, too. I'll go on a date with him anytime he asks me out. How could you send such a man away? Lauren silently stared at her friend with her mouth open. She was just beginning to realize that her mistake was growing by leaps and bounds. She loves Travis and hates going back to an empty house at the end of the day. She hates sleeping alone at night. Travis, of course, could not have imagined that his life would become so exciting. He would have been quite happy if his former boring life had remained as it was. Except for this, life was quite satisfactory to him. The job is good, the social life is on top. He enjoys chatting with several women of different ages, and most of his dates end in bed. At the moment, of course, he is not looking for a long-term partner. There is more to life than just being married to a beautiful woman. Marla Goodling's shoulder-length silver hair had several purple stripes gathered into a ponytail coming out of a hole on the back of her Chicago Cubs baseball cap. Her blue Cubs t-shirt was perhaps a size too tight on her ample bosom, and her light blue Levi's were as tight as most 20-somethings in the stands, despite the fact that she was 60 years old. On the left side of the stadium, Wrigley Field, she gathered more than enough views. One of those who looked at her appraisingly was the man she was with, Travis Wesley, the ex-husband of one of her longtime employees, Lauren Wesley. He and Travis were at a Cubs game as part of a weekend trip to Chicago. Marla has worked with Lauren Wesley for over 15 years. I met Travis at several corporate events, where he accompanied his then-wife, and always considered him a handsome and pleasant guy. She knew that she and Lauren had divorced about 2 years ago. Marla had been a widow for about 5 years. Her longtime husband died in a car accident. During this time, she went on only one date, after which she decided to find out Travis's phone number. Yes, Travis remembered her. He thought it was hard to forget a woman who seemed to radiate both style and beauty. He would like to go to dinner with her. Absolutely, he replied. It was a few months before this moment. The first date was held in an expensive restaurant, followed by a concert at the Philharmonic Hall, and Marla provided tickets for the concert. The evening ended with them kissing at the front door of her house. The second date was a Saturday hike on the trail, and the woman giggled several times when a clearly tired Travis had to take small breaks during the day. It seems that she and her late husband were avid climbers and hiking enthusiasts, and although Travis thought he was in good shape, as it turned out, he was wrong. He also learned that Marla has a toned body for an older woman and mesmerizing gray eyes. The date ended with Marla and Travis making tender love on the carpet in the living room of her house after they had a hot kissing session on the couch. She intrigued him with the combination of the wealthy class and the freshness of the girl next door. Marla happily agreed when Travis suggested she spend the weekend sightseeing in Chicago as part of their third date. On the first date, Marla told Travis that she had no intention of telling Lauren that they were dating. If she had been asked, she would not have denied it, but she was not going to advertise this fact. Marla also told Travis that Lauren had told her coworkers that she and Travis were getting divorced due to irreconcilable differences. Travis told Marla the same story he told everyone else. Lauren cheated on him with at least 2 different men. He didn't specify anything else. In the 2 years since the divorce, Travis has developed several strong relationships, and he has enjoyed, in his opinion, an amazing sex life. All of his partners had a good opinion of him, and some of them hoped that their candidacies would be considered when Travis decided to trust women again and get married. Lauren was working in a different direction. As she told her then-husband before their first date, she was just looking for satisfaction while she still had the looks to attract almost any man. She wasn't looking for an emotional relationship, like most of her partners. This basic difference between the 2 former partners will be a problem for Jackie. She and her mother were immersed in the preparations for the upcoming wedding, which her father was happy to pay for, when Lauren told her daughter that, in her opinion, both parents should attend the wedding without an escort, so that there would be less tension. Jackie quickly agreed with this idea and passed it on to her father that same week when they were having lunch. "Does this brilliant idea come from you or from your mother?" Travis asked sternly. "I plan to bring a lady with me. I'm paying for this holiday, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with whoever I bring. Hell, I've been taking dance lessons for about a year now, ever since you announced your engagement. Have you taken dancing lessons? Seriously? Just for my wedding? It's so sweet. But no buts, Jackie. She probably doesn't have anyone she considers close enough to invite, which is why she's trying to pressure me. And again, she behaves like a selfish woman and tries to manipulate the situation in her favor. I'm sorry, baby, but I don't come to my own daughter's wedding without a date. If you don't have the courage to tell her about it, then I will definitely tell her. She can go alone or take a date with her, that's her business. I'm bringing a lady with me," Travis said. "I get it, Dad, I'll tell her. You're thinking right, and I really want to see you dance, but you couldn't have brought someone older than me anyway." "I can do that, baby, but you really should watch Sonia and me dance." Travis smiled broadly and got a big smile in return. Travis took Connie Mayong with him to the wedding. In Travis's opinion, she looks great in the green aqua dress that she bought and that he paid for. They quarreled because he bought this dress. Travis explained to the woman that since he was the father of the bride and should be in a tuxedo, she needed a new dress, which he would be happy to buy. "And yes, I understand that shoes are also needed," he told her with a big smile on his face. Walking his eldest daughter down the aisle was one of the greatest and worst things in Travis's life. All the other fathers who had told Travis that this would happen had hit the nail on the head, he noted to himself. Nevertheless, it was a wonderful day, he had to admit. He, Connie, and his children had fun and danced late into the night. The only moment that brought discord to this day was the appearance of his ex-wife with her own beau. Not that Travis cared, but the guy spent most of the first part of the wedding grinning at Travis, and then most of the second part staring and groping several women like an obnoxious drunk. At least until Jackie asked her mother to remove the guest. Lauren, clearly embarrassed, apologized profusely and quickly escorted the man out the door. Before leaving with her companion, Lauren still found time to follow Connie to the women's bathroom. "You're a fool who stole a man," she said to Connie when they were in the bathroom. "I'm sorry, but I've never stolen a man from anyone," Connie replied. "He divorced you before we even started dating. You have no one to blame for this divorce but yourself. You threw away a great man for cheap lovemaking." Lauren's face turned purple. Her eyes, which had been staring intently at the other woman at first, suddenly went out. She lowered her head and stood motionless while Connie walked out the door. Connie never said a word to Travis or the family because she didn't want to ruin this special day. A few months after the wedding, Michelle came to her father and looked restless. Travis watched her for a while before asking a question. "Okay, Mitch, what's going on? You've been kind of nervous all evening." Michelle blushed deeply and began to stutter. Travis realized that something was very wrong. Dad, you know, Mom talks about getting back together with you from time to time, about how she's going to win you over when she stops making love to other guys. You two. We didn't make love or anything, did we?" "What is it?" she asked. "My sex life is none of your business, young lady," Travis snapped. But no, I'm not. I slept with your mother. And what? Yes, the fact is that she has a venereal disease, Dad. I heard the end of her conversation with her friend Rosa, and she said she had syphilis, Michelle said quietly, not looking her father in the eye. Travis looked surprised and then sad as Michelle watched him from the corner of her eye. I suppose you're telling me this because you're worried about me, Travis said, but it's standard state policy to tell all possible recipients of the disease that they need to be tested. I didn't know that. I was just worried about you, Dad, she said. I know that Mom still sleeps with just anyone. Several of my friends warned me that she was pretty slutty. It's always awkward when a friend tells you that your mom is a woman of easy virtue. A few days later, Travis received an unpleasant call from Marla. He immediately realized that she was worried about the same thing as Michelle, although obviously she also had concerns about her own health. If you're wondering if I slept with my ex, the answer is not just no, but damn it no, said Travis. Believe me, Marla, I understand your concern, but there's nothing I can do about the fact that my ex is scandal. The scandal is the nicest thing I've heard about her lately, Marla said. In recent months, her active activities outside the home have become the subject of gossip on the sidelines. It seems that the longer she's been single, the more she loses her caution. Lauren used her venereal disease as a starting point in her plan to bring Travis back. She was pleased that she had had enough men to last her for the rest of her life, and 6 months after the doctor said she was cured, she began implementing a plan to bring Travis back. She was still slightly resentful of Travis for divorcing her the first time, which was not part of her original plan. She believed that her then-husband would never decide to divorce a woman like her, knowing that the likelihood that he would be able to find another in her class was low. This plan might have worked if Travis hadn't been hunted by other women. Lauren had no doubt that she was a godsend. She hadn't imagined that Travis would be able to feel the same attraction to other women. I know he's a great guy, but can't these women see that he's nowhere near my level of attractiveness? She said to Rosa one day when both women were sipping margaritas at the bar, waiting for their dates for the evening. Rosa pushed her friend to her current lifestyle. She knew that Travis was handsome enough, but she greatly underestimated the depth of his personality, including because he always obeyed his wife. She expected Travis to just sit and mope while his wife made love to other men. Who knew Travis had so much game? Lauren and Rose have been following Travis since Lauren gave him an ultimatum, and in truth, it turned out that his sex life after the official divorce was almost as intense as Lauren's. If Lauren had been more honest with herself, she might have admitted that her ex-husband's sex life seemed to have improved a lot from an emotional point of view. Travis went on dates and seemed to genuinely have fun with his partners. Lauren made love to her own, although not to any of them after contracting a sexually transmitted disease. She noted that it was a lull for a while. Maybe it's time for her and Travis to reconnect, Lauren concluded. Travis was more than surprised by the voice on the other end of the line. He hasn't spoken to his ex-wife in almost 2 years. One of his daughters must have given her his new mobile phone number. He did not forbid them to do this, but said that he did not consider it necessary to ever speak to her directly again. Hi, Trev, she purred in her sweetest tone. I think it's time for us to talk. I thought we shouldn't talk until Michelle gets married. But since it's not there yet, can we go back to silence again? Travis said. Still the same Travis. You're still trying to deny that you love me, but you know you do. You know you want me back. It's still Lauren, he replied. You still think that everything revolves around you. Look, Trav, I know you're still mad at me, but I really love you. I probably should have just cheated on you and kept you in the dark, but that would have been cheating. It was cheating anyway, Lauren. Just because you told me you were going to do it doesn't make it any less real. You did it because you thought I'd never give up on you. Do you think I'm that pathetic? Travis said. I know you think you're 10. Damn, it's 12 points, but it's more than that. You're great. I don't have to live in your shadow. As I have been shown over the past few years, I am not just the husband of a beautiful woman. Other women want to get what I have to offer, and they are ready to repay me emotionally. The last few years have been wonderful for me. Why would I go out with a selfish woman who clearly disrespects me again, and no matter what she says, not loving me the way I loved her? I loved it here in the past tense. After disconnecting, Travis put down the phone and turned to the woman next to him. Are you ready for the second round? He asked Sonia. Sonia eventually found a soulmate and married him, but Connie and Marla continued their relationship with Travis. He fell in love with both of them in his own way, but never married again. They also loved him in their own way, and both women accepted this relationship together. Moreover, a few years later, both were invited to attend the wedding of his second daughter, Michelle, with Travis. This did not please Lauren, who did not invite a beau to the wedding. She complained to her daughter, but Michelle did not support her. After me, Jackie and her family, Connie and Marla, are the two closest people to Dad in the world, Michelle replied. They love Dad for who he is and put him above their own selfish interests. What not everyone can say about themselves. He was yours, and you left him for him. Additional lovemaking. Why? Just because she was afraid of getting old and thought he had no other options. That he will never give up on you. For nothing and for no one. Travis was happy with his life, even if it wasn't his first choice. He got out of a situation that he considered unacceptable. Lauren's life was not like loneliness and remorse. After all, she was still a beautiful woman, and beautiful women often just need to show up to make men start hitting on them. Lauren was often hit on, and she had quite a few short-term relationships. However, none of them has developed into something long-term. Looking back, Lauren had to admit that she regretted telling her then-husband that she was going to leave him, just because she still couldn't come to terms with the fact that Travis had so easily abandoned her. How could she have miscalculated so badly, she often wondered to herself. She was 12 points out of 10, he was only 6. It shouldn't have ended like this.